morning, afternoon, and evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I went to the best live wrestling show I've ever been to. Oh my God, what a phenomenal show from start to finish. It was excellent, excellent, excellent. So this was my first time ever seeing AEW live in AEW's debut in Winnipeg. And boy, we got quite a lot here. So I have a lot of footage that you guys are going to be able to see, and I will make sure to include it in this video. I'm going to put it in 3 segments because there were 3 shows that we actually got. We got Dark Elevation, Dynamite, which was live, and Rampage. So Dark Elevation and Rampage are both recorded. So I guess there will be spoilers for that, but I'll make sure to warn you when that is about to happen. So yeah. But anyways, let's get started with Dark. So, spoilers for AEW Dark Elevation. For the 10 people that watch it, AEW Dark is not really one of their big shows. And even then, getting a spoiler of AEW Dark Elevation really isn't much. But, like I said, spoilers just in case. So, it would start off with Sky Blue being defeated by TFA. And this was kind of funny because I actually watched, I don't watch Rampage, Dynamite every week simply because I'm really busy with school and college. I don't even watch Raw and SmackDown every week. But I tried to occasionally here and there. I made sure to watch last week's Dynamite so that way I would have some context for this one. So, I was watching last week's Dynamite where Sky Blue was wrestling. And funny enough, Zach was mentioning is like, how does she have a 5-2 record? You know, she looks kind of like a jobber in the sense of that we don't really see her that much, or at least seemingly. And wins on Dark Elevation is how. One thing I will say, one complaint I do have. I don't know if, so a TV audience may not realize this, but the wrestlers that appear in the ring who had their entrances already during the commercial break, there was no entrance. They just walked to the ring. There was no music. There was nothing. So we, as fans in the arena, knew exactly who was winning because one of them had an entrance and one of them didn't. And whoever had the entrance won every single time. So it was one of those things where a bit of a little bit of a nitpick maybe. Now, one thing I will say AEW does do is they actually take some local talent and show them in their Dark Elevation stuff in their AEW Dark shows. So understandable why they don't always have the whole stage done up, but it's like you can't give them an entrance song, at least something. But no, just have them walk to the ring. So it is what it is. But then Jake Hager defeated Adam Knight in the second match. Again, example of, you know, what Jake Hager's hat was extremely over. This was the wildest wrestling show I've ever been to. I've been to Raw, I've been to SmackDown, I've been to many WWE lives. I've never seen a crowd this crazy. However, even before Jericho and Omega showed up, they didn't show up till quite late into the night, but it was wild all the way through till then. Emi Sakura defeated Zoe Sager. Nothing really crazy about any of these matches, to be honest. They had Brandon Cutler defeat Jason Giger, I believe his name is pronounced. I'm going to butcher some of these names. My apologies. He was very entertaining. Definitely a comedy wrestler, Brandon Cutler. And definitely someone who, it's funny, he gives me that NXT 2.0 vibes, kind of. But he was super entertaining. Incredibly silly. It was good, Dark Elevation, it's good having some of those comedy wrestlers just because it's kind of hard to have serious wrestlers on Dark in the sense of that typically you're not engaging a crowd nearly as much in that. So having comedy wrestlers is a great way to kind of get a hook on that crowd. It was really, really great though. Great stuff. And then there was a 6-man tag match, or a trios match, if we're talking AEW terms, where Matt Hardy, Ethan Page, and Isaiah Cassidy defeated Mo Jabari, Massive Damage, and Sebastian Wolf. I believe I got those names right. And I actually had the pleasure of meeting Ethan Page yesterday. I know, it was quite something. And it's one of those things where it was a really cool opportunity I had. And I was actually supposed to meet Danhausen as well. However, Danhausen was not able to come to Winnipeg. Sadly, I would have loved to see Danhausen. However, in his place, I got to see the Guns. So I got to see, Austin Colton Guns. So it was a cool experience that I had even just yesterday at CS Collectibles, not CSGO Collectibles, silly me. But then Top Flight would defeat Sean Moore and Michael Allen Richard Clark. That is a long name. My goodness. But that match was that was the first match to kind of stick out a bit. Really great tag team wrestling from Top Flight. I've seen a little bit of their stuff, but was really impressed, especially in just a Dark Elevation match. It's one of those things where it really looks like they're using their limited TV time to the absolute most to hopefully they can end up on Dynamite and on Rampage and get kind of those bigger opportunities. I can definitely see that tag team doing a lot more. They just looked excellent. And then we had the stiffest match of AEW Dark Elevation, where ROH Women's Champion Athena would defeat Taylor Rising, and she beat the shit out of her. Like, she was really stiff. Lots of just stiff shots in the ring. Got her out of the ring onto the ramp, put her over and did like an Alabama slam. It slammed her right on her back on the floor, and it was just it was a great match. I love stiff wrestling, but it looked painful as shit. But that was probably the most enjoyable of the dark matches, I would have to say. However, we would have a great match afterwards with Dark Order's John Silver and Alex Reynolds defeating Tony Nese and Ari Daivari. I probably screwed up that name. I don't watch AEW Dark really that much, so I'm butchering some names. My apologies on that, but that was enjoyable. I like the Dark Order. Everyone likes the Dark Order, so it was nice. Got to see him a few times tonight. Had a nice win there. And then I'm going to talk about this other match now, but it was another AEW Dark Elevation match, but it was actually taped after Dynamite, before Rampage, so after they went off air with Dynamite, they then taped this last Elevation match, and then they went on and did Rampage. So I'm assuming they just ran out of time before, because they have to go on air at 7 for AEW Dynamite. And that match was two Hammond Lakers, I got no idea who they are, two complete rando jobbers against Dustin Rhodes and Keith Lee. I love me some Keith Lee. Unfortunately, we didn't see him do that crazy of stuff. I mean, it's AEW Dark Elevation. I don't know if he's going to go and try to put his body at extreme risk for that. But it was I love me some Keith Lee, and I've never been able to see him wrestle live. So I'm glad that I was able to do that. So on to, well, wait first, but we have all of the highlights from AEW Dark.
There we go.
Introduce this man, because it's Matt Hardy.
Okay, now, I'm excited. AEW Dynamite, absolutely the best part of the show. For anyone who was live there, Dynamite was better in Dark, better in Rampage. It was best part easily. And I have a crap ton of footage. So my apologies if it's a bit too much for you. However, if you like live footage, then yay for you. It's great. And we started off with MJF's Rebar Mitzvah. I love this. I am a big fan of MJF. Every segment he does is segments that I go back to and I watch on YouTube because it's so entertaining. And he was incredibly entertaining even before he got it. He had this whole thing of 4 chicks coming down with him, totally in character for MJF. I saw AEW posting on their Instagram earlier the day with like him wearing the yarmulke and getting prepared for the bar mitzvah, which is they've completely leaned into his Jewishness, and it's just excellent. His promo work was absolutely stellar, as it usually is. And then we would have Jungle Boy come out. Crowd goes wild for that. Crowd is going absolutely batshit insane at this point. And so Jungle Boy comes out. He's about to start talking, and that's when Sammy Guevara comes out. Gets booed mercilessly. One thing I will say, Winnipeg loves Chris Jericho. They do not love the Jericho Appreciation Society necessarily, though. They love Jericho, but they don't necessarily love the guys around him. Jericho's the one we care about. And Omega, obviously. But of the JAS, Jericho's the only one we give a shit about. To the point where Daniel Garcia, actually, I'll get to that later. That's part of AEW Rampage. Rebar Mitzvah's great. Sammy Guevara comes in, and then Darby Allin comes in. He was not actually advertised, however. I knew he would be at the show in some capacity, as I saw some posts on Instagram of people getting photos with him at the airport and which not. And I'm going to be honest, I don't think you should be... I wouldn't go and meet a wrestler at the airport. I think it's kind of one of those things where it's like, just let them be. You know what I mean? It's like they do meet and greets for fans. And if you just happen to see them in public, like I'll put it this way, if you're at the airport because you actually had a flight, that's fine. But it's like, if you're just going there just to get in their way, it's like, just let them be, especially the ones who just try to get stuff steined and sell them. I'm not a fan. I don't know. I think that allowing some personal space is kind of a basic respect thing, but that's just me. But overall, excellent segment. MJF ends up going through the cake. Crowd was going wild. Absolutely loved it. I have like 5 minutes of footage of that. And then we had Blackpool Combat Club go against Hangman Adam Page and the Dark Order. Dark Order being Evil Uno and Stu. Stu is here today and extremely over. Jesus Christ. Crowd was absolutely loving Stu. More than Hangman Adam Page, more than Evil Uno. It was a great match, though. Went into the crowd. Of course, everyone's going to love singing Moxley's theme as they came out to that. And then, of course, you have ROH World Champion Claudio Castagnoli and ROH Pure Champion Wheeler Yuta. Really funny how he's the Pure Champion, as the whole concept, for those who don't know, of the ROH Pure Championship is that it's pure wrestling. There's no cheating. There's nothing that would be considered disrespectful. And yet, he was the one who cheated. He grabs the ring bell and hits him right in the head in the middle of the match. Because the whole thing about the Pure Championship is that if you're caught breaking the rules in terms of a disqualification, you are supposed to be fired. It is not even necessarily that it's supposed to be a DQ and you lose the title. You're supposed to be fired from the company. That's the whole premises of the Pure Championship. So kind of funny that Wheeler Yuta was the one who was cheating here, because he had the most at stake in that regard. But of course they wouldn't actually do that. But it is what it is. And then that is the Blackpool Combat Club would win, despite the fact that the crowd was really hoping for Hangman Adam Page and the Dark Order. But it was a good match. It was a great match. Got a lot of stuff from that. And then we get to the Jade Cargill segment. Yay! Jade Cargill has had 53 matches of utter boring. I don't know any. This was the lowest part of the show, being completely frank, when it comes to Dynamite specifically. And I mean, it's exactly what I expected. It was another instant. And so they had this random wrestler named Nicole something. I don't even know who it was. Again, no entrance. So live crowd knows she's getting her ass kicked. And so I was thinking, wow, is this all we're going to have? But then Taya Valkyrie debuts in AEW, spent some time in Impact, spent some time all over the place, is now All Elite from Victoria, BC. And man, I was glad to see her there. And I could tell that they're setting something up now with Jade Cargill, and hopefully she'll actually have a match at Double or Nothing, considering she didn't have a match at Revolution. You'd think someone who is a defending champion 53 times over would have a match at the pay-per-view, but nope. So she needs to lose the title at some point. It is so overdone, and they need someone big enough to be able to do it that would also get a boost from it. Taya Valkyrie is the perfect choice, and I can see, based off what would happen in Rampage, that they're going to be setting that up, going hopefully towards Double or Nothing, and I hope she wins, as gotta get the title off Jade. But I was glad to see her debut, and that's when they decided to do QTV, which I could not give a shit about. I was hoping that at least like the Jericho's highlight reel or Miz TV, that it would be in the ring. But no, it's not even in the ring. It's backstage. It's like, we couldn't have done this on like Rampage or something, because Rampage is recorded. Because now that takes up a time slot of Dynamite that you could have given to make it a match go a bit longer. Maybe you could have had a bit more stuff happen in the bar mitzvah, but you had a lot going on already. I don't know. I just think it could have been utilized a little better. I don't think it really belongs on Dynamite, but it was overall nitpicking. And also they were just talking about him breaking into Wardlow's car, which, let's be frank, we all knew it was someone related to Powerhouse Hobbs. Nobody gives a shit who it was. It is what it is. They just need to move on, as I'm excited for his title reign, as I expect him to have it for a decent amount of time. But we would now have the first ever match with the AEW International Championship. Obviously, the All-Atlantic title now being renamed, and for the first time ever being defended in Winnipeg, of all places. Orange Cassidy versus Double J, Jeff Jarrett. And man, this was a lot better of a match than I was expecting. Jeff Jarrett, he is up there in age. I think he's like 55 or something. 55-year-old KFC man going for it. But it was a great match. There was a lot of interference. Jesus Christ, the refs could not see nothing at this one. And Orange Cassidy would prevail. And it was I love the fact that we were able to see Orange Cassidy wrestle. I've been so excited ever since I saw him first in AEW. I've died to see that live, and the really, really soft kicks were actually done by Jeff Jarrett. But it was a really enjoyable match. They went into the crowd, got actually really close to me. They were actually in the stairwell right next to my section, and I was able to actually catch a glimpse. Everyone was standing up, so there was limited viewing. But it was quite something to see. Obviously the countouts were completely forgotten about. Jeff Jarrett grabs a garbage can and throws it at Orange Cassidy. Ref acts like he's going to DQ him, then doesn't, for some reason. It was really funny because there was a lot of rule bending here with these referees, but it is what it is. Overall, it was a really enjoyable match. Even some interference by Jay Lethal. It was nice to see him here. But yeah, Orange Cassidy would retain, which was absolutely the right choice, because Jeff Jarrett does not need a title. He doesn't. He's 55 years old. He's already a legend. He has so much to his name. It does so much more to keep it with Orange Cassidy and then pass it on to someone that can really, really gain a lot from it. And so, yeah, overall, that was a great match. And then we had the Outcast promo. Yay! Nah, that was boring. It was boring. It was, Tony Storm, Ruby Soho, and Saraya. Man, Saraya, she was just excellent in WWE, but she is not the same in AEW. Her matches have been mid at best, and her promo work is atrocious. It's horrible. Like, it's one of those things where it's just so stale, A woman of her talents, like, she is a darn good wrestler, but she's doing nothing with it. She's doing nothing. I haven't seen it at all in AEW. I got really excited when I saw her debut, and then no one's cared since then. It's really unfortunate. However, it would get interrupted by Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter, so there was something for the crowd to cheer about. That's pretty great. It's unfortunate because, actually, I'll get the whole thing about Britt Baker. That's part of Rampage. I'm all over the place. But that's okay, because it is time for our main event. 5 stars. 5 stars. And maybe that's just me seeing it live and being so excited, and Jericho being over, and Omega being over, and the entire crowd going absolutely fucking bonkers this entire match, myself included. I literally had a pounding headache at the end of this match because I was screaming my ass off. What a main event. The House of Black defending their trios titles against the Elite and the Jericho Appreciation Society with that being Sammy Guevara and Daniel Garcia. And so first off, I want to say, absolute right decision by having the House of Black retain. As much as I would have loved to see Jericho win, or loved to see Omega win, House of Black just got those titles, and the titles belong with them. JAS and the Elite will be just fine without it. And so I was overall really impressed with how high-paced this match was. There were spots left, right, and center. They had Jericho and Omega at the start, and then it gets interrupted, and the crowd boos because they want to see it happen. And then it finally happens again. They tease like it's going to be interrupted a second and third time, but we finally see it happen. Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega, I'm going nuts, Zach's going nuts, entire crowd's going crazy. And then we would actually get to see them team up a few times. There were spots galore. I mean, I understand a lot of the way too many super kicks. That's true. But honestly, I didn't even give a shit. When you're at the live experience, you don't care. You're just hyped. You're into it. And it was a crazy time. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I was completely thrilled. And right after the match, after Dynamite went off air, but before they started doing their other stuff, Kenny Omega would make a speech about returning to Winnipeg here. And we actually have that up as a separate video that you can check out after this one on our YouTube channel, so make sure you do just that. And so that was the conclusion of AEW Dynamite. And honestly, it was better than I imagined. It was twice as good as Raw or SmackDown, at least. And not that Raw or SmackDown were bad by any means. I absolutely really enjoyed going to both of those. But this was on a whole new level, and the crowd there was a huge reason for it. And just the matches, it looked like everyone gave their all. And when you have Chris Jericho and Omega in Winnipeg, it's going to happen. And so let's get on to, well, first, before we do that, here are probably about like 10 minutes worth if we're being real here, the highlights of AEW Dynamite's debut in Winnipeg.
Tradition of his forefathers, but better. The Bar Mitzvah Man, AEW World Champion, JetsHub.
It's because after March 5th, when I tapped out, your boy
What is going on?
Backsliding home. Very good. To be fair, everything is. I have a 4-man name. That's good. Oh no! Jump in there and bring it
Let's go, Stu!
Oh, is he going for the dead eye? Nope. Oh!
That's outrageous. It's un- How is he still wrestling? How is he not?
Oh my god. Oh my god. Are we? He's gonna do it! That you recently deleted. All of it. Gone. Jets. That's actually probably what it is. But actually, no, I have scores. I have like 100 gigs. I don't tell you. Oh no! Oh! We got a new rep! Let a girl operate! Get your side down!
Put your sign down!
Kenny! And now we're on to AEW Rampage, the St. Patrick's Day edition of Rampage. But there's one thing missing, and that is the Britt Baker match where she gets covered in a shit ton of blood. I don't know if you've realized this, but every iteration of the St. Patrick's Day Rampage show has had Britt Baker having a match and getting cut open and bleeding all over the place. We had no blood this entire show. That's the only thing I hope we saw. A little bit of, simply because, not because I just need bleeding in my wrestling, but because I've seen so much WWE. I know AEW does more of it. I was kind of hoping to just see what it looks like live, you know? See the blood live, you know? It's a more mature product, and so that's just part of the show. That's part of the wrestling. We didn't end up seeing that, but AEW, by the sounds of it, is absolutely coming back to Winnipeg after that showing, and I'm sure eventually we will see it. Maybe a Manitoba street fight death match. I mean, it's entirely possible. If you know anything about the north end of Winnipeg, you'd know it could be violent as fuck. But we start off Rampage with Powerhouse Hobbs making his first defense of the TNT title against Rey Fenix. And a good performance by Rey Fenix. I mean, he was never going to win this match, but it was a great match overall. Lots of good spots. And it was good seeing Rey Fenix actually get a good amount of offense here. I was worried that they were just going to squash him, because typically when you have Luchador versus Big Man picks up Luchador, throws him down a few times, pinfalls, that's it. And so I was glad to see that they really had a really good showing from Rey Fenix, and they let him do a lot there. And it was overall excellent. And that's when we then had another jumper come out, no music, against Taya Valkyrie. So obviously Taya Valkyrie won this one, her debut match. I forgot to say spoiler. Well, I said Rampage, so you should have known that I was talking spoilers. But it was nice to see her have her first AEW match. Got to see her AEW debut and match, and yeah, it was a good showing. Jade Cargill came out onto the stage after, so that's why I'm saying they're setting up that feud. I'm all for it as long as Taya gets the title, because it's been on Jade too long, and it's the perfect chance to take it off her. It gives a good boost to Taya Valkyrie, and is someone big enough and believable enough to actually get that victory. But then we would have a tag team matchup between Menard and Angelo Parker versus the Bollywood Boys. And the JAS would win this one. It was a good match. Nothing crazy, I would say. But it was interesting seeing, I have to imagine, maybe I'm dumb, maybe I can't tell the difference, but are those guys not the exact Singh brothers that were with Jinder Mahal during his WWE title reign? I could be wrong. I'm going to go back and check. But like the way their facial hair, everything, they look exactly the same. So if so, glad to see that they're actually wrestling and not being the bitch boys for Don't Hinder Jinder. So, it is what it is. But then we had the main event of Rampage, which was Daniel Garcia, accompanied by Chris Jericho wearing a Wasak Winnipeg Jets jersey. Love it. Against Brody King. So, two guys that have already wrestled tonight. Now, to be fair, keep in mind, Jericho and Omega completely carried that match. And there was many instances where it was the two of them in the ring. Everyone else was lying outside and actually sometimes even watching the match from out there. I remember just seeing Sammy Guevara lying down, lounging, watching these two guys go at it because, especially Daniel Garcia and Brody King, they were going to be wrestling later that night, so they needed to conserve some energy. Funny enough, fans were actually chanting for Brody King for a lot of this match, and Jericho was on the side, confused, because he's like, what? I'm from Winnipeg. But then we're like, Jericho, you're not wrestling. It's not you. It's Daniel Garcia. That's different. But, Daniel Garcia would get the win with the assist of the baseball bat from Chris Jericho. And, it was overall a very solid match, especially considering they already wrestled that night. I was really impressed by the match they were able to put on, despite being definitely tired from earlier that night. And then we would then have our final send-off where Jericho would stay in the ring. He would talk about his time in Winnipeg. He'd bring out Kenny Omega, bring out Don Callis. Don Callis was able to talk this time, cut a little bit of a promo, and we have a video up with that. So you can make sure you guys can check that out after this video. And yeah, that was AEW's debut in Winnipeg. I know this has been a long video. My apologies for that, but there was so much to talk about, and I just overall was absolutely blown away with the show. I will definitely be going back whenever AEW comes back to Winnipeg, provided I can. I absolutely hope I can. And I had one of the best nights in a long time. And yeah, this is something where I'm never gonna forget this. And so I hope you guys, if you guys watched the show, you guys enjoyed the show. If you guys were there live, you know it was as awesome as I say it was. And if you don't think so, you're wrong. So yeah, I guess until next time, guys, make sure you guys tune into our Star Wars content. We got videos on The Mandalorian as well as the Bad Batch. Tomorrow, we're going to be streaming the Winnipeg Jets versus the Boston Bruins. I'm going to be at the game live. Zach's going to be at home. He'll be streaming. You guys are going to be able to join him live for that. Make sure you guys go drop a like, say hi to him. He'll be happy to see you. And I'll see you guys later.
Take me to him! Take me to the son of a bitch! Take me to him! Come on! Go, 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 go! Fire!